Everyone seems to be an expert now. Scroll through social media for 5 minutes, and you'll find people confidently explaining politics, economics, medicine, investing, nutrition, psychology, and global conflicts. Some of them might be right, but many of them are speaking with absolute certainty about subjects they studied for maybe 15 minutes. And yet something strange has happened. People aren't just sharing opinions anymore. They're presenting them as expertise. Which raises an interesting question. How did we reach a point where everyone feels qualified to explain everything? Let's test the narrative. For most of history, expertise was rare. Becoming an expert required years of training, education, and real-world experience. Doctors studied for a decade. Engineers trained for years. Economists spent entire careers studying complex systems. Knowledge took time to accumulate. And even when someone became highly skilled, there was still a barrier between experts and the public. Books had to be published. Research had to be peer-reviewed. Media platforms were limited. In other words, becoming a recognized expert required both knowledge and gatekeeping. But the internet changed that system completely. Today, anyone can publish information instantly. Anyone can record a video. Anyone can post an opinion to millions of people. The barriers that once filtered information have largely disappeared, which created something extraordinary, an explosion of voices. But it also created something else, the illusion of expertise. Here's where things get interesting. Psychologists have studied a phenomenon called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It describes a strange pattern in human confidence. When people know very little about a subject, they often overestimate their understanding. In other words, the less someone knows, the more confident they may feel. But as people learn more, something unexpected happens. Their confidence actually decreases. Because the deeper someone studies a subject, the more complexity they discover. True experts often understand just how much they don't know, which means real expertise tends to come with caution. But the internet flips that pattern upside down. Online platforms reward confidence. Algorithms prioritize engagement. And confident opinions generate more attention than careful explanations. A person who says, "This might be complicated," rarely goes viral. But someone who says, "Here's the truth they don't want you to know," spreads quickly. Which means the modern internet doesn't just allow people to sound like experts, it actively rewards it. And that creates a powerful feedback loop. The more confidently someone speaks, the more attention they receive. The more attention they receive, the more credibility they appear to have. And suddenly, an opinion can begin to look like authority. But there's another force driving this trend: information overload. We now have access to more knowledge than any generation in history. Articles, videos, podcasts, threads, posts. But information isn't the same as understanding. Reading a few headlines about economics doesn't make someone an economist. Watching a few medical videos doesn't make someone a doctor. Yet when information is abundant, it can create the feeling that learning a subject is easy, which leads to something psychologists call the illusion of explanatory depth. People often believe they understand something far better than they actually do, until they try to explain it in detail. Then the gaps appear. And this is where things become dangerous, because confidence can spread faster than expertise. When millions of voices compete for attention, the loudest voices often win, not the most accurate ones. This doesn't mean people should stop sharing ideas. Open discussion is one of the greatest advantages of the internet. But it does mean something important has changed. Authority used to come from knowledge. Now it often comes from visibility. And visibility is not the same thing. Which means the modern information landscape has created a strange new reality. We have more information than ever before, but also more confusion about who actually understands it. And that might be the real challenge of the digital age. Not finding information, but figuring out who actually knows what they're talking about. That would really be a good thing to do now. Because every narrative sounds convincing until it passes the truth test.